Hello, Charles Watts here, Arsenal correspondent at Goal. It's been a few days since my last video, so I thought I'd pop on now and just talk about all things Arsenal and update you on what's going on at the club. And obviously, only one place to start today. It is Wednesday morning, just about Wednesday morning. And I'm sure you've already seen the news that emerged overnight and has continued into this morning that Arsenal's game at Manchester City in the Premier League tonight is off. It's the first Premier League game that's fallen victim to the coronavirus. I think we've all been just waiting for it really to happen, and it has happened, and it involves Arsenal. So I thought I'd come on, just run you through the latest regarding that situation, why it's happened, how it's got to this stage, what happens next, and then we can also talk about a few things building up to say the weekend's game against Brighton. That is on at the moment, so we'll have to wait and see whether that remains the case. But let's talk about the coronavirus and how it's affecting Arsenal and how it's led to the postponement of tonight's game at Manchester City. It all dates back to the Olympiacos match, that horrible night in North London when Olympiacos beat Arsenal in the Europa League. I kind of hoped I'd never have to talk about it again, but unfortunately we keep having to come back to it, and this is where the sort of trail all begins with Arsenal. It basically involves the Olympiakos owner, Evangelos Marinakis, I think his name is, who has since that match has contracted coronavirus. He announced it yesterday on Tuesday that he had the virus. He didn't sort of say in his statement at what stage. He just announced that he had the virus, and said that he was doing well. But that announcement came less than 2 weeks after Arsenal played Olympiacos at the Emirates and lost 2-1. Marinakis was there at the game. He watched it from the director's box. He was everywhere in the stadium, really. After the game, he went down to the change rooms. He was in the away dressing room with the players. He was celebrating with them. He went out to the pitch and celebrated in front of the away fans. He walked right past me and the media in the mix zone, was talking to the Greek media, was celebrating with the Greek media. He was literally everywhere in and around the ground that night. And because that happened less than 2 weeks ago, Arsenal have now, having taken medical advice and following the strict guidelines which have been issued by the government regarding coronavirus, anyone who was in contact with Marinakis during his time at the Emirates, and when I say contact, that's deemed close contact, which is within 2 metres of him for a period of around 15 minutes, those people have to be self-isolated for a point of 14 days from first contact. Now, the issue with Arsenal was obviously this was nearly 2 weeks ago, it was 12 days ago. And none of the players, because Arsenal basically, yesterday, when this all happened, Arsenal initially announced a statement said no one's showed any signs of coronavirus, everything's still, we're tracking the situation, but nothing's serious. And they've since obviously had to move on from that, because from the moment the statement from Marinakis came, they had to go back and trace who was in contact with him at the Emirates, who was deemed to be in close enough contact with him at the Emirates. Were there any players? How many staff were involved? And they've since found out that there were a number of players, they haven't said how many, but a number of players who were deemed to be in close contact with him for 15 minutes or around 15 minutes. And there's also 4 members of staff. Now, all of those unspecified number of people have now had to place themselves in self-isolation because of that contact they had with him. Now, that self-isolation starts from the point of contact, which was 12 days ago. So when they have to be isolated for 14 days, I know this sounds all really confusing. I'm trying to make it as simple as I possibly can. But that 14-day period ends on Friday. Well, it ends at the end, sort of at midnight on Thursday, which means that the players who are now self-isolating, like I said, an unspecified number, they don't have to do it for 2 weeks. They've already basically served 12 days of that, because although they haven't been in self-isolation, they haven't shown any symptoms. So, and now when it gets to sort of 12 days, because symptoms normally start to arrive after about 5 days or so, I think it's 5 to 7 days, but because they haven't shown any sign yet after 12 days, they're deemed very, very low risk, and basically it's presumed that they haven't got anything. They haven't caught the virus, but they've got to wait until 14 days now, which will be on Friday, and then they will join in with the rest of the group. So that's what's led to Arsenal having to postpone the game or the Premier League agreeing to postpone the game with Manchester City, because Arsenal have had a number of players unavailable for Wednesday night's game. But because they are now going to be able to join in with training on Friday when their isolation period ends, the Brighton game on Saturday, as it stands, is still going ahead. So right now, all of the Arsenal players have been given the day off today, which is Wednesday. The members of the squad who are not in self-isolation, and that's a large number because it's not too many who are in isolation, the numbers who are not in self-isolation, they will return and train as normal tomorrow, which is Thursday, and then the rest of the players who have been having to isolate, they will return on Friday. So it's not ideal. It's not a good situation for Arsenal, but as it stands, they're hoping that just the Manchester City game is going to be affected and that Brighton will be able to continue as normal. Whether that's the case, these events it's just changing so quickly day by day how this is all being managed. You really feel that there is a tipping point coming in terms of the Premier League, that they can't keep continuing to operate as normal. Everywhere else across Europe now is doing it. Serie A has been suspended. La Liga is behind closed doors. France is behind closed doors. A number of Germany Bundesliga games are now behind closed doors. So far in the Premier League, nothing aside from the Man City game has been affected. And this weekend, they're still working towards all the games being on as normal, not behind closed doors, with fans. And that's the same with Arsenal versus Brighton, or Brighton versus Arsenal. But I just think it's around the corner. At some stage, the decision is going to be made one way or another that the Premier League can't continue as normal. Looking like that might come next week now rather than this week. So, but it's not ideal for Arsenal because an awful lot, well, not an awful lot, but a number of their players now won't have trained for 3 days. In the grand scheme of things, if that's going to have too much of effect at this stage of the season when they're fully match fit and everything like that, they can probably pretty comfortably play having had 3 days off. But still, it's 3 days away from the training pitch, 3 days not being able to prepare fully, with Mikel Arteta going through the tactics that's going to be there on Saturday. So you've got to look at that and think it does give Brighton a slight advantage because they've been able to train as usual unscathed during the week, whereas Arsenal have had all this huge disruption, and it is big disruption. So it's not ideal for Arsenal, but what you're going to do if the game goes ahead, which at the moment it's going to, then they're going to have to play it, and they'll want to perform well there. They're on a good run, still unbeaten in 2020. That run is now preserved for another game because I think we were all probably expecting it to end at Man City on Wednesday night, but now they're not going to lose on Wednesday night because they're not playing. So they're going to go to Brighton, still unbeaten in the league in 2020. And Mikel Arteta will want that to continue. I do understand, by the way, that Mikel Arteta is not one of the players or one of the members of staff who has been affected by this. So he's not in self-isolation. Arteta's fine. He will be in the training pitch as normal. It's just the players, a handful of players. Don't want to speculate who it could be. I think we've probably all got ideas on who it might be, or certainly one of them might be, but we don't want to speculate on it. So we'll have to wait and see, and we'll hopefully after Friday everything will be fine, and the squad will be able to get together and continue to work as normal. But not an ideal situation for Arsenal. It's certainly caused disruption during the week for them. But Mikel Arteta will be hoping that they can sort of brush it off in a way, I suppose, enjoy more of a free week and then go fully charged for Brighton on Saturday. Because it's a big game. Brighton won. Arsenal weren't great against West Ham. Haven't done a video since that, so I haven't really talked about it. Actually, I have done a video after the West Ham game. But it wasn't great. The performance wasn't great, but they ground it out and they got the job done. They kept that unbeaten run going. They kept the winning run in the league going. Kept the momentum going following the exit to Olympiacos. They've bounced back with the win at Portsmouth, and then they beat West Ham. They've responded well to that real crushing defeat at home to Olympiacos. And Arteta will be wanting to keep that going. And when you're looking at the fixtures that Arsenal have got between now and the end of the season, they've got some difficult fixtures coming up. They've got to look at Brighton away as one of the games where you really want to pick up 3 points and keep that momentum going if you do want to sort of challenge those competing for the Champions League places, which Arsenal now, given the run they've been on, they've given themselves a slight chance. Still probably an outside chance, but still a chance. And Arteta will want to keep that going as long as he possibly can. Injury wise, obviously we all know about Lucas Torreira. That was a big blow, fracturing his ankle, confirmed. Probably going to be out for the season. Not totally been ruled out yet. Mikel Arteta has said that he hopes he could possibly be back at some stage, but when you're looking at 8 to 10 weeks at this stage of the season for an injury as severe as that fractured ankle, I'd be very, very surprised if we see Lucas Torreira again. So that is a big blow for Arsenal. But Cedric Suarez is back full training now. He was training again yesterday, so he's very, very close to what will be his debut. And he'll be a good option for Arsenal, certainly at right back, where Hector Bellerin continues to struggle with injury issues. Been playing through the pain barrier for quite a while. Wasn't involved at the weekend. Wasn't in the starting 11 at the weekend, and they're kind of having to manage him through to the end of the season, I think, at the moment with Bellerin, which is often the way players who come back from real severe injuries like he had with his cruciate, that other injuries flare up. And like I said, he's been playing through the pain barrier, and he deserves quite a bit of credit for that, because he's got a bit of grief, Hector, for his performances, which haven't been great. I admit, certainly looks like he's lost a fair bit of pace, and that pace was what he was known for and made him stand out at fullback, and he certainly looks to have lost that. But he's worked hard for the team. He's never shirked his responsibilities, and the fact he's been playing through the pain for some time now, I think he deserves a fair bit of credit for that. But having Suarez will certainly be a boost for Mikel Arteta. It will just add to that, add to his options at the back. Pablo Mari's come in last couple of games, done really well, so added to the options there and covered for Mustafi's injury, which has been a boost. And Suarez will only add to that. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I just thought I'd pop on, sort of fill you all in on where we are right now with the whole coronavirus issue. Certainly something I wasn't expecting to have to report on when it comes to football. But events and how things have unfolded around Europe and the world in the last few weeks have made it pretty much inevitable that football is going to be affected. We've seen that in terms of mainland Europe, especially in the last few days, and now it's come to England and it's come to Arsenal. But the club are doing all they can to ensure that the disruption is minimal and that everyone is safe and well, and that is certainly the most important thing. So thank you very much for joining me. As usual, thank you very much for all your time and your nice comments, and people who are enjoying these YouTube videos. I will endeavour to keep them coming and to keep you entertained and keep you updated with all things Arsenal. So until the next one, have a good day.